You're making one right decision today. You're listening to Handcuffs and Sage.
Three badass moms bringing you all the true crime and paranormal your heart desires.
I'm Red.
I'm Timo.
I'm Dre. And don't let your kids listen. Seriously, just don't.
Hey, it's Handcuffs and Sage. Woo!
Woo! Hello.
Hello, this is Red.
Hey, this is Timo.
And this is Dre.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week. It's been insane.
Mm-hmm.
When this episode comes out, our Down the Rabbit Hole episode on Thursday, I will be on my way to Zion National Park. Woo!
Ooh.
Lucky. Well, you're lucky, but you would have just dropped off your daughter at college, so it will be kind of a bittersweet moment. Yep.
Be an emotional wreck. That is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like I mentioned before, my daughter is going to college. She did a business. She put a business together. She made this amazing jewelry, these earrings that are just so unique and so cute. So we're kind of asking everyone to check it out, support our podcast artist. The business she's calling is Punk Moon Jewelry, and it's just too cute. And we posted about it on Facebook, so check it out. It's
it's really cute. Adored. Yes, it is. I'm very proud of her. Yeah.
So we're doing a crazy story that I absolutely love.
Yes, I've loved this for many, 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 many years.
Yes. Dre, have
it's
you
the
heard
first
of this
time
before?
I had never heard of this before. I watched the movie twice. And then I was like all over. I mean, every single day I'm talking about something crazy that happened at work, and my coworkers are looking at me like there's something wrong with me.
No, check it out. Listen to what I have to say. Yeah.
You got to see the pictures, guys. Oh, whoa. Have you seen this? And they're like, can you just stop talking? I don't want to know.
That's hilarious.
Weirdo.
Yeah, they do not watch. I mean, they do not listen. So it's hilarious.
This is a story that I could just eat everything up about it, because there's so many different theories about what happened in this story. And so it's kind of fun to go down the rabbit hole on this one.
Yeah.
And I want to know what you guys think happened at the end, of course. But it's just, this is a fun one. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it. It's called Dyatlov Pass. Woo!
Yeah. So bananas. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Just because it's complete insanity, and there's so many things that could have happened here. So it's interesting to see what people actually think happened, right? There's so many things. So the Dyatlov Pass story started back in 1959 when 9 hikers died, and this took place in Russia. And there are 75 different theories connected to this story.
That's insane.
Which is like every single one. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what happened.
I know,
like,
right?
Every single time.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what happened. Yeah. So crazy. So on January 23rd, 1959, students and recent graduates set out on a hiking trip, and this takes place about a month before the next term is about to happen, okay? And these are all very seasoned hikers. They are all very capable and knew what they were doing, okay? It's not like I got my ass out in Russia and was like, I can do this. I could not do this. I love to hike, but I am not seasoned like these hikers were seasoned, right? So they decide to go on a 16-day trip to Ortorten Mountain. The name of this mountain means don't go there. What?
Literally. don't go there.
Literally don't go there. Okay. And we'll tell you why. So I'm going to go over the names of these hikers. Now, this does take place in Russia.
Yeah, good luck.
All of these names
I know.
are so Russian, so fantastic. So
I'm going to be real honest. I'm going to be so honest right now. Every time, and I feel bad saying this because they deserve respect and all, but every time I saw a name, I was like, da-da-da-da-da, and keep reading.
Yeah.
And skip through their name and keep reading.
Yes. I totally get that. Like when I first heard about this story, it was just a story to kind of take in. It was interesting, but they took so many photos on this trip. When you see them and how they were with each other, they're people. These are young kids, right? College kids, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, ugh.
I know. And then they did journals too, which I love.
Yeah.
I love journals. Travel
It's
journals.
fantastic.
Just so great.
Yeah.
No,
so I'm going to go through
the last names.
So I'm going to go through all the names. Every time I mess up, you have to do a shot of vodka.
Okay.
Ooh, I don't have any vodka.
Okay, we will take a moment, get some vodka. Does everyone have vodka? I don't care if you're driving right now and you're listening. I'm just kidding. Okay.
Drink.
So the hiking leader, his name was Igor Dyatlov. Okay. Then there was Alexander Kotov, Leandonella Dubninina, Nikolai Tubo-Brignons, Yuri Yurin, Rustin Slobodin, Sasha Zoloterov, Yuri Doroshenko, Zenaida Komogorova, Yuri Krevenashenko. Oh!
Yay!
Did anyone take a shot of vodka? No, because I'm awesome.
You know what you sounded like when they're announcing like the skaters in the Olympics.
Yes. All the amazing like Russian gymnasts.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yep. So there was a journal entry done by Zenaida, and I think it really is a good starting place here. She wrote in her journal, "I wonder what awaits us on this hike. Will anything happen?" And I just got chills throughout my body because it is just so sad. So something to note is a few days into this hike that one of the hikers, Yuri Yudin, actually got sick and headed back and didn't finish this trip with everybody else. And I wonder how that's affected him and his life, right?
Right. So bananas.
It is. It really is heartbreaking. So the leader, Igor, he's only 23 years old, that he really knew a lot about hiking, and he knew what they were looking at to do a 16-day trip. He seemed to be very organized and on top of everything. He makes sure that everything is ready to go. So he's got like the tents, and you know, he is the one that tells them to keep journals for this trip. And I'm so glad that they did, you know, bring a camera. We're going to take lots of photos. And he actually, I just love this. He also made sure to bring a mandolin so they could enjoy music on their hike. So the hike that they were doing was actually 300 miles away from where they were for school. And so they had to take 2 trains, a bus, and a truck just to get to that starting point for the hike, which is, that's a lot. So on the first train, they actually meet this other hiker named Sasha, okay? And it just so happened that the hike that Sasha was going to go on with another group didn't work out, and asked if he could join Igor's group, and they said, okay, all right. Now at first, even though Igor said, yes, you can join us, the rest of the group was a little unsure because these are young college kids, right? 20-somethings, young 20-somethings. And Sasha, he was 37 years old. So he was much older. they said that he had a ton of tattoos, like really interesting, weird tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
One of the tattoos he had was just a bunch of random letters, like on his body that meant absolutely nothing. Right. So it wasn't like some white chick getting Asian lettering and it said something else. The letters meant nothing. Okay. Meant absolutely nothing. But Sasha was actually a hiking instructor, right? So he knew what he was doing. So he really could be an asset to the group too. Okay. So they all decide, okay, he's part of the group now. So on January 28th, 1959, they start their journey, and the weather is fantastic. Weather is peachy, okay? And Igor, being the total badass he is, he had put like this really massive tent together. He like built this tent. It was about 13 feet long. So all of them could be in together. And he had made like a hole at the top where they could have a chimney inside the tent to keep warm, which I thought was brilliant. And you know, they start off this just amazing journey. They're all excited. They're keeping warm together in the tent. They're playing the mandolin right at night. So it's starting off on a really good note. They're really super excited. Okay. On January 30th, the weather gets really bad. Okay. This is when I would say, bye, I'm all done. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't deal well with bad weather or the cold ever. Okay. The weather is bad. It's windy. It's crazy windy, and it starts to snow. And at this point, the trail, the Manzi Trail that they had been hiking, that would have been like very clear for them to follow, was coming to an end, right? So now they're really on their own hiking. There's no more trail to follow. By late afternoon that day, everyone is just done. Okay, they've been hiking. The weather is bad. They're walking against the wind, which is very difficult to do. And so they decide to set up camp. Okay. Luda, she is so done. She sits by the fire and does not want to get up. Isn't going to move. She done. So I feel like she and I have a lot in common, because I would also do this. Okay. Yeah. But Igor has set rules for this trip. And one of the rules is you can't sit, you can't stop until all the chores are done. Right. Tent needs to get up. Things need to be put away. Right. We need to be set. Right. And so I guess there was a hole in part of the tent, and Nikolai, or Nick, was a little frustrated with Luda that she wasn't helping. And so people were actually in kind of a bad mood on this day. Okay. Just, they were done. They were so done. It was not a good day of hiking. So the next day rolls around. The weather is bad. It's windy. It's snowing. It said that they were only able to do 1 mile an hour.
Right.
It was so bad. Okay. So by 4 p.m., they stop and they decide to set up camp, right? And then there's no more journal entries. So that's why we kind of know everything that's been happening up to this point, because they were all writing in their journals, and then it stops. Okay.
Right.
So February 1st comes. They have to pack light because they're finishing a part of the hike where they can't take all their gear. It would just be too heavy. So they set up like a temporary like storage, right, where they were. So then they could go on the trail with lighter things on their back. Okay. So they set that up, and then they set off, right, for the rest of this hike. And the photos are changing, right? The photos that we see before this day, they're all smiling and getting along, and they're really happy, right? They're making memories, something I love to say. These photos are more serious. there's a photo, and I'm sure Timo will put these photos up. One is like kind of white out with like dark figures in it.
Yeah.
Right. And there's like a streak of light right at the bottom of it, which is really interesting. Like what was that?
Right.
That camera that took that last creepy ass photo was found on a tripod in their campsite. And so that light wasn't made like from the camera moving fast, right? It was on the tripod taking that last photo. So that's a very interesting photo. What was that light? What are we seeing here, right? So they set up camp at Dead Mountain. Okay. So we went to Don't Go There Mountain, and now we're camping at Dead Mountain.
Yep.
All very bad signs. Not looking good, you guys. Okay. So the group was supposed to be back, done with their hike by February 12th. Okay. They did not show up February 12th. Igor had, I guess, mentioned to his friend before the trip that maybe they were going to do like, a couple more days, right? We don't know. So at first people weren't alarmed that it didn't show up at the 12th. But then by February 21st, people were like, oh, something is terribly wrong. And they send out a search party. Okay. So then they're looking for all these hikers. So 5 days later, February 26th, they find the camp. Okay.
Oh shit.
Is everyone buckling up here?
Buckle
up. Okay. So they find the tent that was still like basically set up, but the top of that really long tent that Igor had made, it was collapsed at the top because there was snow on it, right? So it was kind of dipping down. But then they noticed that there was a slash in the tent made by a knife from the inside of the tent. Okay. That's not a good thing to see.
Right.
We don't want to see this. There are 9 sets of footprints that are coming out from the tent, and some of them are barefoot footprints in the snow in Russia. Okay.
Like negative 50 degrees.
It's insane. I just, right. And this is kind of like, I'm sure when they were seeing this is why would this happen? Okay. Why wouldn't they put shoes on? But it was said, and this is always something that gives me chills, is that the pattern of the footprints coming out of the tent showed that they were walking in a very calm fashion, right?
So strange.
They were not running. Barefoot. Some of them were barefoot. So why would they be walking in a calm fashion? Why would somebody slash the tent from the inside to go out into this terrible weather, right? Why is this happening? Okay. So about a mile downhill from camp, underneath a cedar tree, they found remnants of a campfire. They found the first 2 bodies. Both Yuris were found dead, barefoot, in shirts and underwear. Okay, which is so crazy that they would be out in the elements with nothing keeping them warm. Why were they trying to keep a fire going outside instead of staying in the tent, right? They were found to have burns on their legs and feet, and their hands were all torn up. And some of the lower branches on that cedar tree were pulled down. So their hands obviously got messed up from trying to climb this tree. Why did they do that, right? Were they looking for something? Were they hiding from something, right? And again, just to remind everybody, these were seasoned hikers. They knew what the elements could do to them. Why would they go out into the snow barefoot? and basically not wearing any clothes that they need to be wearing out there, which it's frightening to think what would scare them so much to put themselves in danger like that, right? So the next that were found were the bodies of Igor and Zina. They were not that far away, and it looked like they had, the way that the bodies were turned, it looked like they had tried walking back to the tent. Okay, they died of hypothermia. The third body found was Rustin. He died of hypothermia, but he had a fractured skull and bruises on his knuckles, which is very odd, right?
Right.
Did he get into a fight with something? What would cause his skull to be fractured, right? So then there were 4 hikers still missing, and their bodies weren't found until almost 3 months later, which is so sad that they were searching and searching and searching. It took them that long to find them. On May 4th, the last bodies were found. It was about 250 feet from the cedar tree. And they were found in a ravine, and it looked like they had built like almost like a den underneath the ravine to protect themselves. And their bodies were found underneath 13 feet of snow, which really, like, you can picture the element that they were hiking in, right? And they actually died from injuries, not hypothermia. Nikolai's skull had been cracked open, which is awful. Alexander had a broken nose and a neck injury. Luda had several broken ribs, and she was missing her tongue and eyes. So
part of her lips
were missing. Some of the clothing that were found, 3 pieces, were radioactive. Okay. So they said a limit for radioactivity would be about 5,000 semi-units, and they were found to be around 9,900 units. Okay, so almost double what the limit would be, like a normal limit would be. Okay. Sasha was found with 5 broken ribs. His eyes were gone. He was holding a notepad in one hand and a pen in the other, but nothing was written on the notepad. It's just awful. He had a camera around his neck, and the film inside that camera was very badly damaged, and they were only able to get 1 photo from it. And it was a photo with like a bright light, okay? A bright light with like dark shapes at the bottom, and it almost looks like the tops of people's heads in it. It's a very odd photo. Did you guys see that photo?
Yeah.
It's very odd. Okay, so that was the 1 photo that unfortunately made it from all that film. It would have been great to see everything else that was on that camera, maybe giving some kind of clues or evidence, right?
One weird thing about that camera was not known that he had. They said that they didn't know that he had, because it was found on his body around his neck. They did not know he had that camera, but that camera was found. But the other camera that they found on the tripod, that's the only camera that they knew that they had.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
the
so
plot thickens.
Right.
So Sasha had shoes on. Okay, so one of the thoughts that they were having, looking at this scene, they were thinking that maybe he was one of the first to leave the tent to maybe take pictures. Okay, Like he had a notepad, he had a pen, he had a camera, maybe he had walked out of the tent to do something, right? Okay, so we're going to look at this whole picture right now. So right now what we're seeing is this tent has been cut open from the inside. They left the tent, some of them barefoot. They walked calmly, right? Some of them died from very weird injuries. And we have radioactive clothing, okay? So all of this is kind of insane. None of this makes sense. Why would they do this? What would compel them or scare them enough to do this? Some people were wondering, had they been murdered? Okay. So nearby was the Mansi tribe, okay? And they were wondering, okay, did the Mansi tribe have something to do with this? Did they attack these hikers? But it turns out that the Mansi tribe are very peaceful people, and they have never attacked before or after this. And so they don't think they had anything to do with it. The Mansi helped in the search trying to find these hikers. So they had nothing to do with this craziness.
Weren't they also the ones that actually found one of the bodies?
They ended up finding one of the bodies, okay? So another odd thing is there was no other footprints from anyone unknown, right? So there was only the hikers' footprints, and they could trace those. So it wasn't like some unknown person came upon them and those footprints were in the snow, okay? There were no animal tracks, okay? So it's not like they were attacked by some animal. We would see that. And they wouldn't be walking calmly out of the tent, okay? So then one of the theories was that they killed each other, okay? So let's look at that. Luda and Nick had kind of got into it a little bit, a few days before when she was just done, right? And wanted to sit by the fire, not help, sew up the hole in the tent. Not really anything to lose your shit and kill each other over, right? Rooston had bruised knuckles, and Alexander had a broken nose. So, one of the questions came up is, did they fight each other, right? Did one punch the other and break the nose? Sorry. Okay, so then one of the other theories that came up, or something that was looked at, is that, remember, Sasha was not a part of this original group, right? He joined them on that first train out, and it was odd that he didn't know them, but you can tell from all the pictures and journal entries, they really warmed up to him quickly, right? It didn't seem like anyone had an issue with them once they were on their journey, even though they really didn't know him. Okay, so something that is looked at is hyperthermia can cause confusion and panic, okay? So if they're having hyperthermia, that could cause some odd behavior, okay? But internal injuries on the last 4 bodies that were found, it was said by the coroner that they couldn't have happened from a human, right? So these injuries were that you would see like in a car wreck, right? So if Timo and I got into a fight and we just started beating each other's asses, we couldn't inflict the kind of injuries that were found on their bodies, okay?
Right.
So one of the things that came up was there an avalanche, right? Because the last 4 bodies were, found under just a ton of snow, like 13 feet of snow, and they had internal injuries. But investigators ruled that out because there had been no record of an avalanche then or ever in that area. Okay, so not an avalanche. Okay, was it from strong wind or snow? Okay, I don't think snow was causing whatever happened here to happen, right? That does not explain why they cut themselves out of a tent and went barefoot outside. That does not make sense to me, okay? What is very odd and what really contributes to the conspiracy theories on this story is that a few weeks after the last bodies were found, the case was closed. The case was closed on May 28th, okay? Which is just insane. It doesn't even make sense. They ruled that the deaths were done by a natural force. And actually the quote on the file was an unknown compelling force which the hikers were unable to overcome. So that's what happened here, right?
Right.
Then this case file was classified. Why? Why would this case be classified? That does not make sense, right? So we're talking about 1959 in Russia. Was the Soviet Union government behind it? I don't know about you guys, but I could never see them ever doing anything secretive or shady. So I say no.
Right.
Okay. We're talking Cold War times, right? So all sorts of insanity was happening. So that's something that gets brought up a lot with conspiracy theories on this story. Okay. So a day after Georgie's, okay, take a shot of vodka. Everyone take a shot of vodka. Okay.
Yeah.
So the day after Georgie's funeral, his family got a visit from two hikers. They had been on the same mountain range at that time. And they said to the family, they saw some like really strange, bright lights in the sky and thought it was like a rocket, right? It was very odd. And then several others, hikers, people in the area came forward to authorities, and they were talking about these bright lights that they also saw, right, in that area. It was very odd. So the lead investigator thought maybe at first it was lightning that these people were seeing, but we all know what lightning looks like.
Right.
And people don't come forward saying that they saw lightning, okay? But then the investigator said he was checking the dates of all these sightings and the timeline for the group and thought, okay, something's connected here. It might be part of whatever happened to them. So then these higher-ups brought him to Moscow and said, hey, buddy, you need to stop looking into this case. It might cause danger to state security, right? I would be shaking in my boots if I was this dude. So near the campsite, there was military testing going on. They were testing missiles, secret missile tests nearby, okay? So on February 1st, there was 2 bomber planes testing air mines, and these were dropped right by like parachutes, but they were supposed to blow before hitting the ground, and really what they caused would be like a shock wave, and that's what would affect people and things around it, okay? Could that have happened? Did that happen near the campsite? It shook them, right? Rattled them and caused them to leave the tent and the safety, right? So these are a lot of the stories that come up. Maybe there was crazy strong winds at the time and snow, right? And so maybe because of the strong winds, it caused one of these air mines to come near the site, detonated near the group, and that caused injuries and radiation. Okay, so that's something that people talk about. Why was Sasha outside, maybe first one taking pictures? Okay, his documents that they found referred to him by a different name, Alexander. So now we're like, oh, this is like a mystery guy. We don't know who this guy is, right?
Right.
His legal name is Simon, right? So now we have 3 names that we're working with him. He was in the Red Army for 4 years in World War II, and he was a KGB agent.
What?
And it is said that he joined their group because he had to be on that particular mountain range on a particular day to do something. He had an agenda.
Yeah, right. Shady.
Super shady. Was he on a secret mission? Some people said he was meeting with the CIA. So after all the stories we've done, we know the CIA doesn't do anything shady. So I don't think that's what happened here. Okay. So maybe meeting with the CIA. Some people were saying that maybe he was spying like on one group of Soviet officials by another group of Soviet officials, right? Did he sneak out at a certain time to take pictures and one of the hikers caught him? Like, let's say he went out and was taking pictures at this testing site. What were they testing? Maybe he was getting information. Maybe one of the hikers caught him, right? So these things keep getting brought up, the shadiness about Sasha. So one of these stories that came out, which I could see happening, so work with me here, people, is some of the soldiers from this testing site maybe came to the camp, had them hike downhill, roost and hit one, right? The rest of them hid. Maybe, they threw Nick into the ravine, causing severe injuries. They said that Soviet soldiers were actually trained at the time in very unique ways to cause injuries, right? Alex, his neck was hurt in a certain way that kind of implied that that is something that they knew how to do, right? To hurt someone that way. Luda's chest had been crushed. Eyes were removed, right? Sometimes people do those things to send a message, right? The film was damaged. Maybe the soldiers damaged the film. So whatever he was trying to take pictures of couldn't come out, right? People couldn't find out. And then maybe what happened here is special forces killed Sasha, who they didn't realize was a KGB agent, right? And then if that got out that they did that, it wouldn't be good for them. So they try to cover their asses and cover their tracks in the snow, right? So this is just another conspiracy theory that people think could have happened. So this is the one I like. Are you ready?
I wonder.
Are you ready? So Lev, the lead investigator, tracking the lights, told to keep his mouth shut, right? He thinks that the lights in the sky were aliens. Yeah! Aliens! All right. Who thinks it was aliens? Raise your hand. Oh, we got 2 hands. Okay. So one of the weird things too is there was burn marks on the trees, right? And so Lev thinks that this was caused by a UFO. I think so too, Lev, for sure.
Yeah.
So then this one is insane. This is another fun conspiracy theory. In 2014, the Discovery Channel came out with an episode, The Russian Yeti.
Oh.
So obviously a Yeti did all of this, you guys.
Right.
So again, every time I hear a conspiracy theory about this story, I go, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. So there was a moment where I thought, yes, Yeti. That's what happened.
All right. So guys, there's actually a website that, because I wanted to see like the photos of what they look like. And I had researched this, and it's called allthat'sinteresting.com. And there was like photos of them before and after. It's really, the after is very gruesome. You actually see Ludmila without her eyes. You see them all dead. It's very gruesome and very sad. I don't know what to think of this, but in their final photo, which is like 33 photos, there's actually a photo of something far in the background, and it does look like the Yeti. Did you see it?
Yes.
Yep.
That's what they showed on this show to back up
Yes.
their theory.
Yes. So I was like,
a blurry figure in a forest far away.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a Yeti.
It's a Yeti. So I just thought, like, is this a joke? What? Was that really in their camera? You know? We'll never know.
But they did say
know.
too that it could be like one of them in the background.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Are you saying it wasn't a Yeti?
Well, I don't know, because it's huge. It doesn't look like a man size, you know. It
So
looks
it's like my hubby taking a walk in the forest. It's a Yeti.
It says an unknown figure.
But if it was a Yeti, they didn't find any Yeti footprints, which is the thing. So that's the thing.
The whole thing with the Yetis, though, is that they know how to cover their tracks. That's how they haven't been caught yet.
Oh.
Right?
See?
Mm-hmm.
Get on the Yeti train, girl.
Okay.
Discovery Channel thinks it was a Yeti.
I mean, what if it was one of the Mansi, though? One of the Mansi tribe.
Oh. Interesting. Interesting.
One thing about the Mansi tribe, though, is, you know, they left all their belongings in the tent along with most of their clothes, and there was money and booze left in the tent. And the Mansi tribes actually used booze as like a bartering system. They used it as currency. So it was kind of weird.
I'll use it as currency.
Yeah, they would have. If it was them,
I'll give you 2 White Claws for a drive home.
So that they were saying that if it was the Mansi tribe, why wouldn't they have taken the booze? Because that would have been a great amount of money for them to, you know, use. So
yeah, they're not going to leave it behind. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So then 6 decades later, y'all, 6 decades later, on February 1st, 2019, you know, in the before times, 60 years to the day, the Russian government announces they are reopening the investigation. What? Everyone's like, what? This is crazy. Why are they doing this? No new evidence has come out, right? Why are they doing this? So like I said, there are 75 theories connected to this story. And the government said that they were only going to look at 3 possibilities. Okay? So the possibilities that they are looking into is an avalanche, a snow slab, and a hurricane.
What was the middle one?
A snow slab.
Oh, okay. Is that the massive ice block? Because I that's one of the theories that I wrote down, where top layer of snow melts in the sun, and then it turns into hard ice and can easily break off, possibly falling down on them.
Yes. So these are the 3 that they're looking into, and I just love that a hurricane is one of them. We are talking about Russia. So let's run through these 3, okay? So least likely is an avalanche, because they have never once happened in that area. So,
but also, if there was an avalanche, the trees would be like shredded. You know, maybe not like all toppled over, but
would be shredded.
Yeah, there would be evidence of an avalanche at this point. You know, it's not like, or did the avalanche just stop right where they were? I don't get that.
Right, and they wouldn't be walking calmly.
No,
they'd be running.
No.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Sure.
So, okay, Russian government. So, no to an avalanche. Okay. So, like you said, a snow slab is like the top of a snow that will come down a mountain in like one solid piece, right? But again, it didn't damage the tent, and only 4 people had really bad injuries. The other ones didn't. They died of hypothermia. Okay. So my fave, a hurricane. They are 500 miles away from the nearest body of water. So for us to think about this, that is like a hurricane happening in Mexico, and some hikers in Kansas being affected by it. Okay. All right, Russian government. All right.
Yeah.
I like your games. I like what you're doing. Okay. So a theory that came out was hysteria from like infrared sound, which is very interesting. So like we said, it was very windy at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess wind can cause like a vortex that causes sound waves that we can't hear, but it can cause symptoms.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Symptoms like headaches, nausea, and internal organ damage, which is insane. Right. It can cause panic, right? So did this panic cause them to like beat on each other? Right. We don't know. Experiments were done and they said that the wind can't cause symptoms that severe for any of the hikers to do what they did. So basically what they're saying is that the infrared sound idea is kind of like junk science. There isn't actually like real things to back it up. So they kind of like squashed that. A theory came out in 2019. So they believe that maybe everything happened because of katabatic wind. Have you guys heard of katabatic wind? It's insane. It's actually interesting. So it's wind that blows like down slope and it gathers and it gathers and it can become almost like a hurricane down the slope, and it's very violent and deadly. So they think that a katabatic wind could have started in the like kind of near or middle of their tent, forcing them to leave the tent, right, to walk away and maybe wait out that wind from stopping. That's why they left. Okay.
Right.
Because a similar event actually happened in 1978 in Sweden, where a bunch of skiers were killed by katabatic winds. Like it's like a very similar story. So I think that's very interesting, right? But then what about the eyes and the tongue being missing?
So, I've thought about her a lot because I just think like if you're frostbitten, your tongue can easily just chip away. Right? That can happen so easily. And then I know that they said no animal, whatever, but ravens can talk. They can smell corpses from miles away, and I can imagine that since everything else would be frozen, the eyeballs would be the easiest to pick at. So that's my answer to her, is that just makes the most sense to me if I'm trying to like not be a conspiracy theorist,
Right.
So
one of the things that when I first heard this story, like kind of that blew my mind was that 3 pieces of clothing were radioactive. But it turns out that 2 of the hikers actually had jobs dealing with radioactive substances, which can stay like in your body. And the 3 pieces of clothing belong to both of them.
Oh, well, that's like.
So then you're like, okay, so that explains that. So I guess it's not aliens, which is kind of a bummer. Damn. So then maybe the eyes and tongue were taken by animals, or somebody said like, it's really awful, but bodies that are in water or snow that slowly melts, it can actually like turn it slushy, and that can make them go away too, which is disgusting. But ugh.
And she was like in a stream, right? In like a ravine type.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So what do you guys think happened?
God, this is so hard to even like fathom what could possibly, because the whole thing is what pulled them out of that tent. What made them slice open that tent?
Yes.
But then calmly walk out, I kind of feel like the katabatic wind maybe was like the most logical theory for me to have, like to be able to accept.
That's what I'm thinking too. especially since we've seen another case, right, that happened in Sweden that really mirrors what happened at that time. I don't know. What do you think, Timo?
Well, I found another theory, which
what
is
aliens?
which is kind of cool, but it still doesn't explain like the eyeballs and the tongue and all that. But did you read the drug theory that they were talking about?
No.
Okay, so they were saying that some of the members of the group had been testing a drug that reduces the susceptibility to cold. So they were working on this type of medication or this drug that basically would let you not like survive in like really cold temperatures. Which was kind of weird to me because they had such weird, like, you know, they're missing clothing, which would kind of make sense. But some of the side effects was burst of strength and uncontrolled aggression.
Ooh.
So they think that maybe because of these side effects, it led to like a brutal fight amongst them. And once the drug wore off, they were so injured and so tired from the fight that they basically just died from exposure. Which would cover the whole died of hypothermia, but also having all these weird injuries that they had, you know, like broken skulls and broken nose and this and that. But I mean, I don't know about the missing eyes and all that stuff unless they like bit their eyes out of each other or something. But I thought that was really cool that was a positive, you know, that's almost like sci-fi kind of
Did
theory.
any of them like talk about being part of like a drug trial? Like what makes people think that they were doing that? Do you know? 75 theories, baby. 75 theories.
For
I
real.
know.
You know, so there was like no mention of the drug name? Okay.
I need to know so I can Google it.
I don't even know if there's such a thing, you know, but you know, it kind of makes sense on all parts almost, to, you know, like
almost it does. Yeah. You know what I found really interesting, and I don't think we even mentioned it, was when Doroshenko, he was found under the cedar tree. When he was found, he was like a blue purple, and he had gray foam coming from his mouth.
What?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what did they think caused that?
What? I mean, they had no theory on that. I don't understand what that could have been. You know, was he poisoned? What was that? Great foam? That's not a natural thing.
I mean, is that part of having hypothermia? Do we know if that's something that happens with that? I have no idea. I have no idea. That's crazy. A gray foam? Yeah. Oh, okay. We need to look into that one now too. But really, aliens, you guys. Aliens.
You know what's funny about the alien thing? You know how the people mentioned that were in the area that they had seen the light? And this goes back to it being near military testing. Way back, like in the late 90s, I was actually at my husband's house, at his parents' house, and we were out in the backyard, and we saw like this formation of lights. They were like colorful lights. I don't remember what color they were, but they were like, you know, very obvious lights in a formation. And we were like, holy shit, that's aliens, right? Because it was really obviously a formation. It was like 11, 12 o'clock at night. And we were like,
they were all
oh
together,
my gosh.
right?
They were all together.
Like stars.
No, it was not random. No way. And it was like red, you know, like the color red. And it was like coming down really slowly. And we were like, definitely aliens. But then we found out later, because we were super freaked out. Like, what do you do when you see something like that, right?
Right.
And so we like turn on the news, and then it was like illegal skydivers in formation.
Then you guys know the truth.
Yes,
you know
damn it.
You guys know my
and that's what we said.
Story?
We said, like, the news is covering it up. It's really alien ship. Where did the lights even go? Because they started to like suddenly trickle out. But I was thinking about that incident, and like it being so far up into the mountain, I could see where the military people would be like not like hiking in, but they would be flown in, and then they would have to like make their way down through parachute. And if they were coming through at night, then maybe that's what those lights were. You know?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have a fun Costco alien story.
Okay.
So this happened like maybe 10, 12 years ago. I was shopping at Costco and I was leaving. I was going out to my car and I look up and I see something in the sky, right? And for a second, I'm like, oh my God, I'm seeing a UFO, right? This is happening. It's happening. And I look around and everyone else in the parking lot is looking up at it too. So we're all in this moment together. We're all looking at this thing and everyone's like, what is that? What, like nobody knew what it was. And we were all like looking at it. It was so weird. So then I get home, I tell the hubs, throw on the news, and the news is talking about it. Something, you know, is flying overhead. We're getting calls. People are seeing a UFO. And so it was so fantastic that we all had this moment. And I thought, it's a UFO. And everyone else was thinking a UFO. And we never found out what it actually ended up being.
It was a UFO, baby.
Love it. Aliens.
That's cool.
So this is such a crazy story. I love that there's so many ideas and that we have no idea what actually happened. And I think with the time period and it happening in Russia, we'll never actually know.
Right.
Especially since they're bringing up maybe a hurricane possibility a year ago. So concerning.
Maybe maybe tornado and hurricane mean the same thing in Russian.
No. Oh my gosh. Can you guys do a Russian accent?
No, I can't do any accents.
No, I can't do it either.
No.
Oh, my daughter does such a legit badass Russian accent. It's just fantastic. But I'll try it, okay?
Okay, go.
Okay.
You make vodka, I drink vodka. We are brothers and we are sisters. We sit to eat. And we are part of Mother Russia. There you go. There you go.
Vodka, baby.
Yeah.
Vodka shot. All right. Are we going to do Whittle of the Week?
Yeah, our Whittle of the Week.
Whittle of the Week.
All right. So this one was kind of a little bit risque. So I'm wondering if you guys figured it out. Okay. So
it's so naughty.
Nope.
I'm spread out before being eaten. Your tongue gets me off. People sometimes lick my nuts. What am I?
Is it like an hors d'oeuvre platter? I'm just hungry.
I'm hungry too, and that sounds great.
You can give a spread, like, you know, cheese and nuts.
A charcuterie board.
Oh, a cooter board?
What is a cooter board?
When you spread
okay,
out
give me one more chance. Read it again. Okay. I don't spread my legs.
I'm spread out before being eaten. Your tongue gets me off. People sometimes lick my nuts. What am I?
Oh, God.
Peanut
the nuts
butter.
First.
Is it?
It is!
Yes! That's so smart. Not like
that's so good.
I'm spread out before I'm eaten. What else?
Gets me off.
Oh, off the spoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then sometimes lick my nuts if you have a chunky.
Yeah.
You like those chunky. You like it chunky, baby.
I feel really smart right now.
Yes.
Okay. So here is the new one.
Okay, I'm going to write it down.
Okay. All day long, it's in and out.
That's what a hamburger is all about, baby.
Oh.
I discharge loads from my shaft.
Oh my God.
both men and women go down on me. What am I?
How are you so naughty, Timo?
Is the answer Tracy Lords? Have you guys been listening to that fantastic podcast about Tracy Lords? And
No.
It's so.
Is it her or is it her story? Is it her or is it her story?
It's not her. They talk about Tracy Lords and like, you know, other porn actors and actresses and just like everything, you know, what happened with her, that it came out she was a teenager. Do you remember that?
Yep.
And so, you know, how she got into the industry, like her family, what happened to the industry, like what people like actually think of Tracy Lords. And it's just so interesting. It really is. Check it out. Mm-hmm. I don't know the name of it. Oh, A Girl in the Valley. I think that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
I listen to it when I do laundry.
Cool. I'll listen to it.
Yay, check it out.
All right, so I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it one more time for you guys.
Okay.
All day long, it's in and out. I discharge loads from my shaft. Both men and women go down on me. What am I?
I know the answer for once.
All right.
Well, don't say it.
I won't say that
until next week.
And nobody can Google it. We're playing 80s style. You have to use the dreams.
That's
right.
Okay, cool. Good job, you guys.
Yay!
Oh my goodness. Good job, you guys. So everyone check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Be a badass and take 5 seconds. Leave us a review on iTunes because it really helps us out. And that makes you an Insta friend, of course. Tell your family, tell your friends. Check us out. We need your support and love. We're on Twitter, YouTube. Check out our Patreon page. Our
TikTok.
email. What?
TikTok. It hasn't gone anywhere. We still got TikTok.
I know. And instead of doing my usual collage pics of our episodes, I'm doing the fun videos from TikTok and doing, because I can add music and all kinds of fun little things. So so cool. And I usually put it towards the theme of what our topic is, and usually there's soundtracks to some of the things we talk about. So
that's
I kind
so
of
cute.
Very stand by. I'll be doing more. Yeah.
Yep. And we still have our survey. Don't forget the survey. I don't know how much longer do we want to keep that up there in our bio, guys. It's on Instagram, so just get it done.
10 years maybe.
Yep. Just do it.
Yep. Forever and ever and ever.
Forever.
You guys can email us. You guys can email us at handcuffsandsage@gmail.com, and our website is handcuffsandsagepodcast.com. Yay!
Awesome.
Woo! And just like you, we have questions. Whoa! Do it. All right.
Do it.
Yeah, do it.
Go night.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Good night.
Okay, guys. Wouldn't want to see you. Bye.
Handcuffs and Sage is hosted by Red, Timo, and Trey in a shitty guest room in Los Angeles.
Theme music is Leave Now by We Are Wasted. Cover art done by Megan Winchester.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Show us some love on iTunes. Be a badass and do what you want. Until next time.